So, what you're looking at is the first version of the Glowboro Kings, the Season 2 team for the Unknown Pokemon Draft League. And this thing is interesting. Not exactly what I had intended, though that's not due to sniping. The only thing that I didn't get that I really wanted was Screamtail, which Alan, the Commonwealth Chandeliers, sniped out of me. I was really not expecting that to go so quickly, which honestly, looking at it and having tested it some more, I'm surprised it went so late. It probably was like a 5th or 6th round pick. But that's the only thing that we didn't really get that we wanted. Nothing else was in contention. Nobody else wanted Sun. I was going to freak out if somebody wanted Torkoal because he was my Sun setter. I was dead set on that. But this is going to change, so we're going to go through all the versions, talk through all the changes that I made to this roster. Before we actually crack into this, you might also see those 2 soju bottles down here at the bottom next to the V1. Those were influential, foundational even, to the creation of this particular team. So a lot of this was planned, but with a lot of things, if you add alcohol, you can birth some new ideas, some unplanned ideas. And soju was the culprit here. 2 bottles of Jinro over the course of draft night led to some unexpected things happening. I have a full little flowchart of what I wanted to draft. I'll maybe pop that up here for the record. But it didn't go 100% according to plan, and there's surprising things. Some things that worked out, some things that didn't, some things that are long gone. So, breaking into it, my first pick was Raging Bolt. It was a 70-pointer. For the record, we have 120 points, 15 points for Terra Captains. Raging Bolt got nerfed from 14 points to 17 points from Season 1 to Season 2. And it was kind of the mainstay for this team. That Thunderclap is something unique. That special attack in bulk is just really appealing. Dragon Electric's a pretty solid typing, though. That Earth, Ground, and Fairy weakness are kind of rough. But this is what I knew I wanted, and I wanted to make sure that it wouldn't get sniped because I'm sure it was going to be on other people's radar. I, for the record, had maybe 7th or 8th pick in this rotation. So I was really actually quite scared about this. I think it went first pick in the first season of this draft league. So I was gunning for it. I was so relieved when I drafted this thing. Strong priority, strong special attacker, that photosynthesis, really good for a Sun team. And, I mean, you can look at this. I'm going Sun team all the way. Tornadus is my speed control. That 121 speed tier is elite. Regenerator, U-turn, it can stay alive. It's got the defog. It's got the pure flying type, which Rux makes it unhappy, but you can regen it off if you don't really want to run heavy duty boosts. And a solid special attack. I forget what it is, maybe 115, 120, something like that. But this thing has coverage for days. It's doing a whole lot of things. It can be utility. You can scarf it like I did once or twice. It's got bulk, it's got speed, it's got special attack, it's got utility. It's got everything you want in a Mon, and it makes it a good Mon. I think this ran me 16 or 17 points. Ogerpon Hearthflame coming up next was a solid 14 points. Absolute bargain bin deal if you ask me. That grass fire typing doing crazy in the sun with Solar Blade and Ivy Cudgel. Ivy Cudgel in the sun is ripping, I think, 150 base power. Maybe even more with the Hearthflame Mask. There's multipliers on multipliers for this thing. It gets priority if you somehow get Grassy Terrain up, or Quick Attack, Spiky Shield, Play Rough, Knockoff, Trailblaze for speed control. This thing is going to pack a punch, and it can outrun you if it wants to. It also gets, like, Taunt and some other shit like that. I don't think it gets Will-O-Wisp. It's a good wall breaker. This thing is going to hit you with the bonk. 100% accuracy on that as well. It's just a threat. You have to take this thing into account. Next up is Torkoal, running that solid 20 speed tier, which is not solid at all. That is like as gaseous as you can come. As gaseous as that stuff coming out his back. But this is my boy. You get Drought Up with that Heat Rock. That's his main job. If he gets that Stealth Rock or that Yawn, Will-O-Wisp, Explosion, Lava Plume, whatever else he gets, that's icing on the cake. His bread, though, is just getting that sun up. So that Ogre Pawn, my photosynthesis users, in this case Heatran, and Leavanny gets their chlorophyll up. He's just here to facilitate. He's mainly support. You get Rapid Spin on there as well, which is a big help. It's I really like having both Rapid Spin and Defog on a team so that you don't get walled by ghost types. I mean, I guess Goldango withstanding. But he's good. Heatran was the Soju speaking. Now, nowhere in my plan, I believe, was Heatran. But I was at some point thinking, I need a special wall. And I think I wanted a Fairy Resist, which is silly seeing as I already have 2 fire types on the board, a Steel type. Though I guess Lucario is a neutral. And Heatran came on. I like that Magna Spin a lot. He was also getting tested out. I had some experience with him just laddering on a different team that I ended up not making. That was a Tapu Lele focused team. But, I mean, as far as special walls go, you throw an AV on this thing, you can trap and eliminate kind of any special threat. Only thing that you really got to worry about with him is that quad ground weakness. It's a real stinker. Lucario was another unplanned fella. This guy is versatile. He's got 3 of those abilities that he's got, Steadfast, Justified, and Inner Focused. They all are, you get hit by this and this happens abilities, and it makes him a little versatile. Sometimes they're not always too useful, but what makes this guy shine is that mixed attack. He's running 115, 110 on his offenses. I forget in which order. 90 on the speed tier, which isn't great, but you're hitting every single setup move and priority move you want. You got Combine, you got Bulk Up, you got Agility, you got Nasty Plot, you got Swords Dance. He can do it all. He's also running no Mach Punch. Vacuum Wave, Bullet Punch, Extreme Speed, Quick Attack if you're crazy and forget that he learns Extreme Speed. The point for him was a Rock Resist, seeing as I'm drafting a bunch of fire types, so that he can get in under Stealth Rocks with minimal loss, and then he's a Revenge Killer primarily with all that beautiful, beautiful priority he gets. Ursaluna, 3rd in a row, unplanned. I left a lot of budget for... take a sip of water. Parched over here. I left a lot of budget here for spur of the moments. I was kind of waiting for my muse to come to me on the draft night. And you know what? It came to me in a green bottle with strawberries on the label. And we ended up waking up with not really a hangover, but definitely some drinker's regret. Ursaluna's not going to stick around. I'll spoil that for you now. Nice to see. You like to see it. I mean, it's Ursaluna. It's going to come in, it's going to press Bulk Up, and it's going to start deleting you. It's going to get that Flame Morph off. You know what it does. I think it's immune to that Focus Blast on the special side, which is pretty important. Because some things are only getting Focus Blast as their fighting coverage. I think in this picture, you got Torny T and Hoopa as part of that camp. But I don't know exactly why. Nobody can really tell me what I was thinking while I was drinking that soju. As a side note, the soju had me yelling Quaxwell. Pre-evolution of Quaquaval got drafted during this. And I was screaming about Quaxwell's 1,000-year legacy and the eggs he would lay. We went to a nice warm fuzzy place during this draft. And you'll see that I come to regret that soon. Next coming is Mega Absol. I forget if he was planned or not. I think he might have been. I think I might have tested him a little. But on paper, this guy looks awesome. That 115 speed is nice. It lets you run Adamant on those base 100s and still outspeed with 1 point. So you can run max attack with full speed investment, just no nature. He gets Play Rough, Steel Tail, a bunch of physical setup moves. And then you've got Magic Bounce and Prankster immunity, making you just kind of a status check, even though you don't have the bulk to back that up. That lack of bulk does make his Dreams as a setup sweeper a little tough, because you can set up and then you can go to an early grave. So tough, but he's a very risk-reward. He's a let's-go gambling kind of fella. Next is Aurorus, and you might be thinking, wait a second, don't we already have our weather setter? And we do. But I was out on the town, and I thought, you know what would be funny? First off, if I had 2 giraffe-type fellas. Gotta love your giraffe-type fellas. But the thought here was that you get Aurora Veil support. You keep your opponents guessing for what weather is going to go down. And also, with Snow, this guy's not in Gen 9. This draft league's in Nat decks. With Snow, this thing has impressive bulk, especially sitting at 3 points. This is a absolute budget pick. It's hard to get rid of, especially where it's at the Terra Captain level. So they are very much a kind of a sleeper pick, in my opinion. The idea here is both Aurora Veil support. You get that Blizzard for free, which is some nice ice-type damage. You can't go wrong with a good Blizzard. And it also allows the Bolt Beam on our other giraffe friend up there in Raging Bolt. And I thought that would be kind of cheeky, that Weather Ball potentiality at a Raging Bolt. Next up, Stakataka. They're a goat and a lowland goat. A surprising 6 points. This Stakataka is a Terra Captain. It can Terra into a Steel type, Flying type, and Fighting type for those stab body presses. And he's a demon. He's rocking like 200 and some odd defense, 131 attack stat. He's a strangely min-maxed demon. 13 speed with Trick Room, making him an interesting setter. That body press to take advantage of Terra fighting. He's here to stick around and do some damage. Also rocks on him. Both screens as well, which I don't think I've run yet, but very possible. A mainstay. I know another coach of the Pittsburgh Primarinas was looking at him, but I got to him first. Next up, we got another Terra Captain. Hoopa, 6-pointer. I was so surprised seeing this thing both so low and a Terra Captain. The major drawback of this is a kind of shabby speed tier at, I want to say, 70 or 80, and a typing that's quad weak to knockoff, which a lot of teams are going to be running to disrupt you. But God, 150 special attack, 160 special attack, one of the two. I'm giving you the ranges today. 150 special attack with the ability to defensively Terra. Now this thing is running Terra Ghost, Terra Dark, and Terra Ice because I thought the Terra Ice, Terra Blast / Ice Punch would be pretty funny. This thing is a demon. If you let it get rolling or it gets a speed boost somehow, remember Baton Pass is legal in this draft league, it can be a real problem. Finally, we got Leavani, who at the time of drafting wasn't a Terra Captain, but they'll become one later. And Leavani was a 2-pointer. They used Chlorophyll to take advantage of his sun coming out of Torkoal. They've got some surprising coverage with like Shadow Claw. I think they get something rock. They get Triple Axle, which is nice. And they get Sticky Web, as well as Baton Pass, Trailblaze, Swords Dance. They're a pretty solid sleeper pick at 2 points. They are coming straight from the bargain bin, but they're definitely here to stay, and they have done some impressive work throughout the season. Today, this is the day after team. This is that moment where you wake up the next day and you've had a little bit too much soju the night before, and you think, oh God, what in the world have I done? How in the world did I end up drafting Gliscor and Ursaluna? And the answer to that is, in all honesty, that they were left on the board. So, we changed that. Heatran is gone. That quad ground weakness, along with Torkoal and Stakataka and Raging Bolt and Lucario, it's just gotta go. I'm way too ground weak here. So I take that and I compensate by taking up Gliscor. Slitherwing comes in as another ground resist over Ursaluna. I think I was realizing that I wanted another fighting type and somebody who's really a more dedicated bug type attacker where Leavani isn't necessarily meant to stick around. Not Ursaluna. Slitherwing is meant to have a little bit more staying power. And then finally, we decide that we don't want Aurorus, and we swap him down to Shiinotic because I felt like I really wanted a fairy type. And Shiinotic, I'm not going to lie, folks. Shiinotic gets lost to the gradient here. You can see it right here. It's a very, very understandable case in which really they were just so good at blending into the background that I forgot. And that leads me to the third version of the draft. This is all in the free agency period still. Now we can see a much more familiar team to what started our season off. We have Gliscor becoming Clodsire, which is the way it should have been. The Holy Claudius Father, he's the right way. He's the ground type for me. That grounded poison, that ground type, unaware, water absorbed, which is coming quite handy. Clodsire is a crazy jobber. Their stats on paper feel like they shouldn't do what they do when it comes into practice. Clodsire has put up some amazing performances in the future. With a base stat total of like 430. I might double check that. But Clodsire, I knew this was right. It felt right. And you know what? It was a great choice. The other changes going down here is Shiinotic. Shiinotic absorbed by the gradient. Tapu Bulu has come here. And Rillaboom was in the planning phase for my team. They were kind of one of those ones which was on the nice to have list, but not a need. And Rillaboom got drafted out by some other team. So I wanted Grassy Terrain primarily for Ogerpon. The idea with Tapu Bulu being on this team is that both I needed a fairy, and Ogerpon having Grassy Terrain set for them is awesome. The things that an Ogerpon's +2 Grassy Glide is going to do, you could be surprised. What you find may shock you. But yeah, that was the main idea. It gets screens up, it leech seeds, it's got Nature's Madness for those tankier targets, but that Grass Fairy typing it's iffy. Grass is a defensive typing on a Bulkymon like this that's also missing Fairy Physical Stab for its good attack stat. If this thing had Play Rough, I'm sure it'd be a lot more. But it was an 11-pointer, which is honestly probably a little too much to pay up for Tapu Bulu. But we'll see if we get paid off or not. Finally, we got the current, at least at the time of recording this video, it's current. I don't have a plan to change anybody out here. But we've got the current one. And you can see that Mega Absol is gone. And I've decided that Mega Absol, as edgy as he is, as much as I loved him, he's just not good. I think it's a noob trap. They always cite Mega Banette as being the noob trap with that big fat attack stat, prankster and all that, but Mega Absol just wasn't able to do it. I think they were rocking like a 1-3 KD by the time I got rid of them. And honestly, after a pretty nasty defeat, I was just sick of looking at them. I was sick of not being able to use their item slot. So we took some drastic steps. Now we've got slacking here. We've got the monkey, and this change came unbeknownst to me, rather. This came at the same time as the allegations against the slacking Vigoroth slack off line that were levied by the leak from Game Freak. So we've drafted a true Game Freak here in the form of slacking, and at the time I'm recording this, he's not been tested at all. He is free from battle. He was drafted after week 6. He did not appear at week 7. Maybe he will see him in week 8. There's just no telling what the monkey could bring, and there are not many problems that will stand the test of Big Monkey Slam. So I've got faith in the newest edition of the Kings. Will there be more changes? It's always possible. Will the current roster reach the heavens? Even more possible, if you ask me. The sun is looking bright on the back of our good world turtle Torkoal, and hopefully the future shines as bright as it has in the present for the Glowboro Kings. Thank you.